JRM250 asks, with DJI virtually banned and Walksnail's future uncertain, should I pick HD0 for their goggle versatility or risk being stuck on the old Walksnail, or pick analog, considering getting your 3-inch build? First of all, I don't think Walksnail's future is uncertain. When the Protos drone came out and introduced the Ascent system, my initial reaction was, Walksnail, WTF? Why would you do this? What does this mean for your existing system? And and partially that's because that was my reaction, and partially because when I make a video, some of what I'm doing in the video is telling you what I think, and some of what I'm doing in the video is trying to sort of anticipate and reflect what you're going to think, and give voice to it, and maybe then analyze or give a response to it. Obviously, if I disagree with what I think you're going to think as a viewer, then I might say it and then like argue against it, right? That when it came out, I was like, WTF, and I was like, that's what everybody else is going to think too. I want to give voice to that. I've since got a clearer picture of where I think they're going to go with the Ascent system. The price of the Ascent VTX and camera being $35, and Cadix says that is a permanent pricing, that is not just promotional pricing. Who knows if that'll, obviously the future may hold many things, but at least their messaging right now is that it's permanent pricing. I've heard rumors that a Ascent GT VTX is coming, and an Ascent standalone VRX is coming. And it does seem like they're focusing the Ascent line more on the sort of industrial wink wink areas versus hobbyists. And if there's a clear differentiation in the market, so when a company releases a second product line and it overlaps with their first product line, it's normal, I think, to think, well, why would they have two overlapping product lines? The new one is obviously going to replace the old one. That's why else would they do it? When a company releases a new product line and there is a clear differentiation between them, like that the Ascent line is higher latency, longer range, lower cost for industrial uses, commercial, military. And the normal Walksnail Avatar line is for hobbyists, right? FPV, low latency, it's shorter range, higher cost. Okay, nothing wrong with having two well-differentiated product lines. So I don't think the future of Walksnail is uncertain, is my point. Here is Blunty sharing this. Open Acrobat, you.
Yeah, you're referencing the GT Pro and the VRX, and you mentioned industry, quote, industry.
Yeah, quote unquote industry.
Quote unquote industry. But right. My understanding of what industry here means is enterprise / military, sort of like you suggested, right? Which is basically not us.
Because Chinese companies can't can't market to the military. The government will shut them down, put them in jail. So they have all these, and I don't want to be too blatant about pointing the finger at Walksnail and being like, we all know what you're doing there, buddy. Give them the option of plausible deniability. But like, when you see Ascent GT Pro industry, yes, it's for industry, but also, wink, wink. If it ends up on the battlefield, hey, what can we do?
So to be clear, this is a 4-watt VTX. This is 4 watts, 36 dBm.
Looks very familiar.
Yeah, and then there's also a
communicate. Whoa! Communication frequency 4.9 to 6.4 gigahertz. That's very interesting. That's not the frequency typically used by hobbyists. No, sir. That's wider. Go ahead, Blunty. Sorry.
Yeah, I would say, though, so regardless of what we think, right? And where this product ends up, I think it is interesting to see that, like, hey, they took that chip. You know, we've been told now that the original Protos and the light VTX that are coming out are 100 milliwatts. So, you know, that's what we get at 100 milliwatts. People talk about range issues and other issues. But if you could slap a big old bunch of power on there next to that chip, you know, that's kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it's good that they're doing something with that product. Where it goes, who knows?
Yeah.
But I'm kind of curious where you were going to go with the whole conversation, because, like, we talked about Ascent, but, like, you still think there's future in the old. Like, I still haven't seen any promise that something's going to happen with the old system, right?
I mean, I think that, so it all depends on the kind of performance they can get out of the Ascent system. If the Ascent system can be made to perform on par with the existing system or better, then I think the existing system is cooked, right? Why would they keep it around? But if there's if the Ascent system is targeted at low cost, and that means that it always has higher latency, then the existing system might have a motivation to stay around.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, I feel like the existing system is just going to be what it is. It will never. It's not going to get better because they've had years of not getting better.
Well, that's
promising
true.
something new.
No,
No, right?
Absolutely.
Like DJI's magic is that, like, there's promise in DJI because suddenly they're going to come out with a new unit and it'll work with
and it just keeps getting better and better and better.
And it just keeps getting better. And instead, Walksnail's way of doing this is like, hey, we found a new chip, but it can only do this stuff, and we're going to push it to a new market, right? And we're going to have our old chip available. And I just can't see that getting better because they've kept saying,
no, I don't think. No.
Yeah.
I don't think that the existing Walksnail system, the Avatar system, is going to get any better. Like, they may release a 4-watt GT VTX for the Avatar system, and it's going to have more range. But the fundamental technology, I think, has been squeezed as much as it's likely to get squeezed. They released the racing mode. That was pretty cool, right? But you go down in resolution and you go down in latency still, you know. I don't think that they're... Whereas DJI, every time they have a generation, you go from Vista to 03 to 04, each time it's like, shoot, it's just 15% better in every way, or something like that. And Walksnail, I don't think they're going to get just better. I think they've squeezed it as much as they can. The other thing, I mean, that's just my guess. But as you point out, Blinty, they haven't gotten significantly better, like, in a while. The other thing is that the Artisan chip that the Avatar system is based on, eventually that's not going to be around anymore. Now, who knows? Like, the MPU 6000 gyro has been end of life as long as I've been in FPV, and they still make it. So, who knows? But, like, I think that's valid. 2.5 megahertz bandwidth, extremely low bit rate. So that would be 50, 25, 12, 6, 3 megabits per second. It's supposed to have frequency hopping. So it's a very narrow bandwidth with frequency hopping. I wonder what that could be good for. Avoiding jamming? Yes. A hobbyist isn't going to want to fly at 3 megabits per second, right? No.
Yeah, I think we're hopeful that we can get the Ascent system to be good. But I think Cadex's pitch for this thing the whole time has been, this is for new pilots, and Avatar will continue to be around. So I just think you have to know, as a Walksnail user, it's likely to be the case that you'll be able to buy the same quality of stuff as long as they can get Artisan chips and produce you VTXs. You're not going to get much in the way of new features and stuff for Walksnail unless they can, Avatar, unless they can do it. They're going to try, but there's not much they can do. And then Ascent may or may not be something to move to, but likely won't be because it's going to be aimed at newer pilots and higher latency. Like, that feels like where the ecosystem is going to be at, right? And so people we're losing DJI, which is going to be the moving forward thing, and and Walksnail can't really move forward because there's nowhere to move forward to for us. So yeah, I think, like, to me, that's sort of where the core of the situation comes from. It's like, what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah. So going back to the question, with DJI banned and Walksnail uncertain, debatable whether the future of Walksnail is uncertain, but you decide. Should I pick HD Zero for their goggles, versatility, or risk being stuck on the old Walksnail? I think that I would advise people not to, in the United States, not to buy DJI today because the future is very uncertain, and it's uncertain whether it will be like already people can't forget air units as much as they would like. So I think that's only going to get worse after December of this year. Even if it stays the same, I think it would be questionable whether I would advise somebody to like buy the DJI system today. Some people will, and they'll be happy, but I think, 2 years ago, if someone said I'm thinking of buying DJI, I would have been like, yeah. Go absolutely. And now I just don't. I'm like, well, maybe that's not the right decision, which is weird. Walksnail, I think it's fine. I think the Walksnail avatar system likely has enough of a future in it. It is currently widely available and in active production. They are just about to release the new GT2 VTX. They have new product development. Higher powered VTX is not a radically different product, but the product line has life in it. The heart is still beating. I wouldn't discourage anyone from buying the Walksnail system. Should you get HD0 goggles? I think for myself, HD0 is a great system for racing. There are people who use it as their system for all kinds of other flying as well, but for micros and for racing are the two places it really excels. And if you are really into micro drones and or really into racing, I absolutely think you should go with the HD0 goggles and HD0 video transmitters. If you are into long range stuff, I think analog is the clear choice. You can do long range with Walksnail and HD0, but I think analog is, because you could just go get a 5-watt analog VTX and just, get as much range as you want, and you can't do that with Walksnail or DJI or HD0. And likewise, for like fun flying bando, etc., I think Walksnail or analog are the place I would go for that.